This is Point of View, celebrating a world record-breaking 62 years of quality public affairs programs from the studios of WDEF News 12, Chattanooga.
Thank you for tuning in to Point of View. I'm your host, Nayara Cancel. And boy, are you guys going to be jealous and wish there was smell-o-vision. With me today, I have New York style pizza department. I'm so excited, you guys. It smells amazing in the studio. Gary, Eric, welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
So, New York style pizza in Chattanooga, Tennessee. How did that come about?
Started about 2005. I came out here on vacation. My brother was living out here. He got transferred. And we came out the first time, and I was living in Florida at the time. Allegiant was flying out here. It was $97 round trip, I think.
That's a good fare.
Every Thursday, Sunday, I was here every week. I fell in love with it. I got out of the fire service in 2008. Okay. Came here for 10 days for my final trip and decided, hey.
You fell in love.
I want to live here.
Everybody falls in love with Chattanooga. That's the great thing about our city. You know, you guys have an excellent space with a very interesting motif. Why the New York PD?
It's paying homage to my family and, you know, people that have served for us that are what we are and what we've done. Mm-hmm. I always look at everybody saying, oh, Tennessee, it's the volunteer state. It's like, we're a volunteer nation. This is who we are.
That's a great concept. And you guys come from many generations of service people.
I'm a former fireman. I've got police, military background. It goes far back as having somebody in the family that was one of the president's right-hand man.
So, Gary,
yes,
tell me, because it smells so amazing, and it's still warm,
it is.
You know, straight out of the oven. You guys must have flown here.
We did.
Tell me, why is your pizza so different than all the other pizzas around?
Because all our ingredients are fresh. I mean, we don't have anything processed. Every vegetable in-house is cut there. We make our own dough every day. We grind our own sausage. We pretty much cut every vegetable except black olives.
Wow.
I mean, it's...
So what's the trick to making New York style pizza?
Can't tell you that.
You can't tell me that? Come on. Okay, so tell me about the varieties that you have.
It's a God-given gift.
Tell me about the varieties that you guys have.
Oh, we have anything and everything you can think of.
From veggies to cheese.
This is our meat lover.
This is your meat lovers.
Yes.
You know, I will tell you, our executive producer is from Chicago and the Boston area, so we will not have a debate which one's better, New York or Chicago style. We'll leave that for another day. We won't have that debate on air.
Can I show you something with this, though?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, if you can get a zoom in on that. See the size of that slice? See the size of the pie? This slice right here, this pan that we're holding, that's the size of the pizza that you buy from everywhere else.
That's a large and any other competitor.
Yeah.
And this is the large.
That's my large.
This is just the large. I will say, I ordered a large one time, and I didn't know it was this huge. And so it gets interesting. But the truth of the matter is that you guys have a huge heart for the community and for the policemen and officers. And so why don't you tell me a little bit about the love that you guys have for our community?
We do a lot of benefits for the police department, fire department, EMS, all the local schools, churches, any organization. I mean, we pretty much do whatever we can to help out.
And I know that you guys concentrate a lot on children.
Yes, we do.
And why your love of I know, it tugs at your heart. It tugs at your heart. Why so much for children out of all the charities or all the demographic of people?
Because that's our next generation.
That's your next generation. Do you guys ever have a pie eating contest or a dough making, pizza making contest for children?
We've tried it, but nobody can do it.
Nobody can do it? I will tell you, if I got some dough, it would be all over this studio.
We do give kids dough to play with when they're in there, though.
Can I play with the dough?
Sure, of course. Next time you're in, I'll give you your own little dough ball.
Perfect. I don't know if anybody wants to try this, but I will tell you, one of my favorite things about New York pizza is the dough. So I'm going to have to try this. Oh my gosh, I need a moment. I need a moment. I will tell you, that you guys are going to wish that you guys were there right this very second. We do need some smell-o-vision here, but we do thank you very much for coming and joining us today and bringing this delicious pizza. I am sure that you guys are busy people, and this will not go to waste. Thank you so much once again.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Please stay tuned. In our next segment, we will have the American Diabetes Association with us, and maybe even an event that's coming to town. We'll see you on our next segment. Stay tuned.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
News 12 Now and WDEF.com. Anytime, anywhere. Join us for Point of View, weekends on News 12 Now and Bounce Chattanooga.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Is your family affected by diabetes? Here to talk to us from the American Diabetes Association is Wendy Mullen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
You drove from a little far away,
I
so
did.
we're happy to have you, and we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Well, you know, the truth is that so many families, so many people are affected by diabetes, either directly or indirectly. How many people in America?
Well, diabetes is an epidemic, and it is growing every single year. Right now, we have nearly 30 million people that are actually living with diabetes, and we have an additional 86 million more that are considered pre-diabetic.
So what is the difference between someone that takes medicine and doesn't take medicine?
Well, diabetes is diabetes, and a lot of times there's a myth there that people will say, well, since I just take the pill in the morning, so I really don't have diabetes. And that's one of the pieces that we advocate for, and we're out there constantly trying to raise awareness and provide that community education to teach people the difference between living healthy with diabetes and thinking that they don't actually have the disease.
So someone that has diabetes but doesn't take medicine, are they at a higher risk?
Well, absolutely. So here's the piece. If somebody is diagnosed with diabetes, they more than likely are already taking medicine. It's just their concept of whether or not they really think they have diabetes. So they may be living with diabetes and taking medicine for it, but they're not doing anything to change their lifestyle. And that's what we want to provide that education for, because we know that if people, especially those who are considered pre-diabetic, if we can get that education into their hands, into their hearts, and into their minds, then we can teach them, and there's a great opportunity that they won't develop diabetes in their lifetime.
And it is not only about your diet, it's really about your lifestyle, correct?
It is. We want people to get active. We're not asking you to go out and run a marathon. We just want you to do 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week. That's all we're looking for.
What's the difference between type A and type B diabetes?
Well, it's type 1.
Type 1 and type 2. You see, I was wrong.
And there's actually 4 types of diabetes.
Okay.
There's type 1, which is typically known as juvenile onset diabetes.
Okay.
And that's simply when the pancreas quits working.
Okay.
And they don't produce any insulin at all. Then there's type 2 diabetes, and that's generally when the body produces some insulin, just not enough to actually take care of the body the way it needs to. Then there's gestational diabetes, when women are pregnant and they develop diabetes. One of the side effects of that, though, which a lot of people don't realize, is that 80% of women who develop gestational diabetes will develop type 2 diabetes in their lifetime.
So immediately after, or could there just be a period?
It's just sometime in their lifetime. So we really want to get that education, that behavioral education, lifestyle education to them and share that information.
And how about the baby? Will it have diabetes in its lifetime?
There's no way of knowing. There's no scientific research that connects that.
And so that takes us to pediatric diabetes. How is that different, and how is the diet different?
Well, that's type 1 diabetes, is considered what you may call pediatric diabetes. And there's not really any difference when it comes to diet. We want them to eat healthy. We want them to eat a lot of vegetables. We want them to eat, the healthy proteins, limit the carbs, but there's still healthy carbs that people can eat.
Right.
And so it's getting with your nutritionist, meeting with your doctors, getting with some certified diabetes educators, and getting that information.
What is the biggest advice that you give to parents with children that have diabetes?
Get into the classes. Find yourself a support group. Find some people that you can network with. We do Diabetes Academy classes here in Chattanooga. We have a camp that takes place so we really want to be able to connect those kids. And if you can get them that other network where they can meet other children and they learn, hey, there's somebody else out there who's living with the same disease that I have and I'm not so alone, and they make that connection, and then the parents make that connection with other parents, now they've got that support system where they can call somebody on the phone and say, hey, my son's doing this. Is this because of his diabetes or is it because he's 12?
Now, there's also the education to children because, the parents are not with them at all times. They go to school, other events, and so there's always an opportunity to eat cake or cookies or candy. How do you educate the actual child?
That's one of the myths. Yeah. Just because you have diabetes doesn't mean you can't have sugar. Everything in moderation.
Correct.
And so that's one of the myths out there that we try to constantly work to raise that education with.
You guys have a fundraiser that you do throughout the world, right?
Yeah.
And that is Tour de Cure. Tell us a little bit about what Tour de Cure actually sponsors.
Sure. Well, Tour de Cure this is our 25th year, holding the 25th year of the Tour de Cure. It is a road cycling event traditionally. However, this year we're going to be adding a 1-mile memory walk as well as a mountain bike event that will be taking place on October 8th at Enterprise South Nature Park.
And tell us a little bit about what it entails. And so someone like me who only rides their bike, down the river walk once in a blue moon.
Sure.
What can someone like me do who's not a cyclist?
Sure. Well, we have the perfect thing for you. We actually have 5 routes that go along with the road ride. So we have a 100-mile. That's probably a little daunting.
I guarantee you that I won't be doing the 100-mile.
There's the 62, the 40, the 25, and then the 10. Now, the great thing about the 10 is that's really our friends and family ride.
Okay.
So we're going to be riding right there in Enterprise Park. It's a nice, easy ride. It's a lot of fun. It's just 5 miles out, 5 miles back type thing. So you could easily do that.
Absolutely. And I think I can commit to something like that. If I were to start cycling now, I can train for something like that. How do most people train to do Tour de Cure?
Well, a lot of people get out and ride a lot of times anyways, but
Right.
we do have a Team Red, and our Team Red is really unique because it's built of people who are living with diabetes and those that support them and love them that want to come out and show their support for the tour. So this group got together. They started doing training rides. They meet twice a week. They do fun, easy training rides. They're no-drop rides, so they all kind of stick together and make sure that everyone can finish the ride. They're all in track and everything's going great with them. But I do have a challenge for you. Since you said you're going to come ride with us, I know you're going to be one of our champions. So I wanted to present you with our 25th year anniversary champion jersey that you're going to proudly support on October 8th.
I may have to wear this on one of our adventure series. So our next adventure series, you might be able to see this. Let me move the tag so the camera can see this. You might spot this on our next adventure series, which I'm so excited about. Well, you guys will have to stay tuned for that. I'm not giving it away just yet, but I might have to wear this,
Fantastic.
I might put it on right now, but that might take too long. So there's nothing I wouldn't do, like many of our people here on staff say. But the truth of the matter is that going back to this race, this year you guys are going to try something new. That will tug at a lot of people's hearts, and that is the memory walk.
Yes.
And this is your first time doing it. Please bring us back to this point.
Sure. Now, the memory walk, we created that because we know we have a lot of people who want to come out and support the tour in the American Diabetes Association, but they may not road ride. They might not even mountain bike, but everyone's got a pair of shoes, and so everyone can come out and participate in the walk. Now, on the walk, we're actually going to have a segment of the walk that's going to be a 1-mile area that's dedicated to our friends, family, and loved ones that have passed from diabetes. We have a program where you can actually buy a sign, you can put a picture on it of them, and you have your own custom verbiage that you can put on there that will be in the memory mile, so you'll be able to show your honor and love for those people who have passed before.
And how many people do you guys expect this year?
Well, our goal is to get 500 people to come out and participate with us, and we're usually pretty on track when it comes to that. It may be a little bit bigger this year because we have some amazing event chairs. Chief Fletcher is going to be joining us as our event chair.
And he's a huge cyclist.
Yeah, a huge cyclist.
Yes.
As well as Donna Christian Lowe and Marty Lowe from Main Street Innovations are joining us as our co-chairs.
Yes.
So we're
and Donna will be here shortly for our next segment to talk about something different. But
yeah,
we're really excited to have you here on the show. Once again, it's October
8th.
October 8th, and so please make sure to sign up to do the Tour de Cure, or maybe even volunteer, right?
Oh, we always need volunteers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you. Stay tuned. HR, do you have a problem? Maybe some diversity that you need in your company? Donna Lowe will be here with us.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Main Street Innovation is here. Donna Lowe joins us today. How are you, Donna?
Good. Thank
you for coming on board. Today, you know, HR, human resources, means a lot of different things for different people. What does it mean for Main Street Innovation?
It really means a true bona fide human resource service. Some people used to call us the personnel police, right? Or they call us the people who make all the rules. But I would say we are just to the core a true human resource firm. Recruiting, retention, training and development, succession planning, diversity management. Pretty simple.
And what does workforce development mean for you?
For workforce development for us means solutions for our community. Opportunities for employment for all people means that economic development and growth for us.
And so you guys pride yourself in diversity and diversity training. And the truth of the matter is that, you know, some companies have a little bit of problem with that. What is the best strategy to face that?
Well, the first strategy is having a conversation. So we really pride ourselves in starting the conversation and continuing the conversation. So most time companies see a deficiency in their company in productivity and innovation when they're not having those conversations. So the first step is saying, as a small company or a large company, we need to sit down and talk and open up conversations within our own organization.
Do you think that there are a lot of either faux pas or lack of knowledge in our area? And if so, what is it?
It is, and I'll start with human resources. Most of the time people say, oh, you guys are the people who make the rules. We're not, it's people development. If you notice over the years, it changed from human resources to people development. Some of the stereotypes or the thoughts are that we're not really about people, we're about processes, or we're about procedures. Really, we're not. The core of a human resource is about the person.
You know, Main Street Innovation has taken upon themselves to do many different projects in the community, and you guys work with a lot of different companies. However, you guys have a project called Chattanooga Speaks. That's one of your many projects. What subjects do you talk about, and what do you touch upon?
Well, you have been a part of that. You've been a host, you've been an MC, so you kind of see behind the scenes, but we approach those topics and discussions that people don't want to talk about. Typically, when race is talked about, there's a negative connotation. Not for us. We live it every day, we work it every day. The conversations are hot and heated, but they're results-oriented.
You know, you say those topics. What are those topics?
So those topics, one of the topics for Chattanooga Speaks, the female factor, was what are your successes and your failures as a white woman as a black woman, as a Hispanic woman, and when you start asking those questions, that opens up the conversation for true dialogue. We ask them, what are your successes that you've had as a white woman that maybe your counterparts that don't look like you might not have had the privilege to enjoy?
And what are the other subjects that you guys might talk about?
Typically, it's always the foundation of race, culture, and community. So, such as the female factor, we talked about education, business, and being a woman in 2016. But when your foundation is race, community, and culture, that kind of forces the conversation to stay in those lanes. And again, that promotes these hard conversations.
These conversations can get a little interesting. Let's just put it that way.
I like the way you put that.
Can get interesting. What's the pushback?
Well, I'll be honest with you. For 2 or 3 days after each event, I kind of go MIA, and my team does, because we are processing data, we're processing feedback, questions from Twitter, Facebook, we're getting emails. So the feedback, some of the feedback is this real? Come on, really?
You say for 2 or 3 days right after your program, don't you think that that is the best time to actually address these issues versus process them?
Absolutely. So when I say process, we are literally taking and responding. We're making sure these people know we hear you, but we don't want to just respond with our answer. So a lot of times they're geared towards a panelist, or they're geared towards city officials or people that we are in business with. So we make sure to put that question or their concern back into the hands of someone that can answer it, number one, and number two, that we follow up with that person and say, did we get it answered for you? Sometimes we don't.
Where does the data go? You collect all this data, you get all these opinions. Where does that go?
We, Main Street Innovations, take and we store that data. We manage that data in our applicant tracking system. How do you manage that in an applicant tracking system? We've been clever with that. So everyone, our panelists are actually a candidate in our database. Now, it doesn't mean they're looking for a job, but they might be looking to network. They might be looking for opportunities for other clients. So we take and compile that, put it into our database, and then we package it nicely and send it out to those organizations who want that information. Some of them we just email and say, we think you can use this information, such as the mayor's office. We'll be sending our female factor notes to them because the Mayor's Women Council, which you serve on, I serve on, we want to make sure that information goes into the right hands. But as well, we're taking action with that with our own clients.
Talking about action, once you collect the data, you send it because you want to take action. What's the action that you hope to gain from this?
Great question, and I hope the viewers...
And the outcome.
Yes. So the action, first of all, is that entities and organizations, just like the Women's Council, says we can use this in our efforts. That's a benefit to us and our community. But the outcomes and what we're looking for is change. We turn the ship slow at Main Street Innovations, so we know that things don't happen overnight. But we feel if we're consistent, constant, and steady, those outcomes will be positive outcomes for our community, whether it's business, whether it's entrepreneurship, or whether it's housing, whatever it may be that we are touching.
You touch upon a few interesting subjects there. What do you think are our biggest issues right now in the Chattanooga community?
You know that's a loaded question, right?
That is a loaded question, and it might be a loaded answer.
So I'm going to try to be very simple on that. I think one of the biggest problems is lack of understanding of other cultures. And to me, that's easy. That's me saying, hey, Nyada, I'm Donna. Would you like to have coffee? And just learning about your culture. You can do that by a cup of coffee. You can do that by sitting across at a business table. The first thing is a lack of understanding and a lack of willingness to understand other people's culture. That results in that manifests itself in a lot of ways. Division, insecurities. People say, well, I'm not going to go talk to that person because I'm not real sure about them. I would say make yourself uncomfortable. Become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
What are our other programs that Main Street Innovation gets involved in?
One of them would be, our own program would be Innovation Nights. That's one program that's based, it's a networking, fun, entertainment once a month, but it's deliberately recruiting talent for jobs. We have a lot of jobs to fill in the city. So that's one thing that takes place there. Another would be American Diabetes Association. A lot of people say, how are you guys working with these people? Well, we do event management solutions because why? We want to make sure it's inclusive. The ADA, they approached us because they know they will have an event that looks like Chattanooga, not just one community there.
It's interesting, by the way, ADA, not American Diabetes Association.
Yes,
but
thank
also,
you. Yes,
but-
American Diabetes Association, thank you.
Yes, and because there's several ADAs.
Yes.
And so...
We are actually working with ADA, though.
Yes,
Yes.
you are working with the ADA. Talking about the other ADA,
Yes.
the American Disability Association, the truth of the matter is that we were talking about this
Yes,
recently,
yes.
there's physical
There's invisible, we call it invisible
invisible
disability.
disabilities, and there's physical disabilities.
Yes.
How do you guys approach that in the workplace?
Well, going back to one of your questions earlier, that tension, we felt some of that recently just with our female factor. You know, we had the question from a person with a disability that said, who is going to represent the disability community on your panel? So we approached that and told her who would be doing that. But for us, approaching that in the workforce is no different than approaching it about a different race or a different culture. You have to embrace all areas that are considered disability or diverse.
We got a lot of great information today. Thank you so much, Donna, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on Point of View. I'm your host, Nayara Cancel. Do not forget to tune in next week. Maurice Lewis, our host and executive producer, will be joining us with another exciting show.
Closed captioning provided by the following.
Funding for this program is brought to you by Barnett & Company, specializing in tax-efficient strategies for the preservation and distribution of family wealth, offering continuous investment management with a focus on long-term strategies. Areas of service include investment, estate, education, and retirement planning. Barnett & Company, the power of compound returns over time. More information can be found on the web at barnettandcompany.com.